So, Marcus, I want to take you back, role playing and recruiting a little bit. Put you back in 1994, and you're making your collegiate decision. Know you love Michigan. Know you established some great relationships. But let's say that they were able to offer you, on top of your regular scholarship, a cost of scholarship stipend. They're going to say, Marcus, and I think Michigan's cost of scholarship stipend is about $2,000. Isn't that right, Ira? Isn't that what it is? About $2,000? And then Tennessee came at you and said, yeah, Marcus, we want you too. Tennessee, they were balling back then, so we want you too, but our cost of scholarship stipend is going to be about $5,800. Would that have made a difference to you?
I don't think it would have made that much of a difference. It probably depends on who I was listening to, like if I had a father or if my mama needed the money or something like that. But I don't think that would have swayed my decision by that much. $4,000 is something you can make up in a matter of 4 years and then you can make that 100 times over with a Michigan degree later on after football. So initially, I don't think that would have played a role in my decision.
Now, how about this, Marcus? Do you think, it's a difference, as you said, of about $4,000 per year? Do you think that is going to or would affect other guys that maybe you play with, or that have affected their decisions?
I think so. Yeah, a lot of people can be bought. I mean, that money, especially when you don't come from money or you need it, or your parents got car notes that they need help out with, or whatever's going on. Kids spend more money now than they did when we were in school, and that's what scares me about my kids going to college. It's like, I didn't spend that much money. My allowance was $100 a month from my mom, and that was it. And I used that for probably a little dice game here and there. I used to take everybody money in the dorm. You know what I'm saying? So that was my little allowance to buy my CDs on Tuesdays, you know what I mean, or go take somebody's little shoe money. But nowadays, these kids have phone bills. They have phone bills. They have all types of stuff that they pay for. They got car insurance, and they got credit cards. So now I can see that money playing a role into guys making their decision now and then. But see, Pell Grant, everybody didn't get Pell Grant when I was in school either. I mean, it was some guys that were getting $2,000 a semester, and then, and then I'll take my little 100, and then I'll run through that 2,000 at some point. But my point is that money that you're talking about, I think would sway some people or influence their decisions.
There are definitely coaches that are using that disparity or plan on using that disparity to their recruiting advantage, because that's a real live number. I mean, Tennessee, they can offer what is $5,600, $5,700, maybe $5,800, whereas for Michigan, it's $2,000, and that's not a number that's set by the athletic departments. That's a number that's set by the university, because it's not just student athletes that receive it. It's any Pell Grant student, as you just mentioned, very aptly mentioned Pell Grants. Man, this affects the general student body as well. So that number, it's not like the Michigan coaching staff can go say, hey, we want to offer more money and cost of scholarship. It doesn't work that way. So I'm curious what you think, how much of an advantage that will be for some of these other programs out there.
I think some programs have already started that under-the-table type business.
Penn State has. And they offer, I think theirs might be the tops in the Big Ten right now.
Yeah. So it's already in motion, and that probably is helping them to a certain degree. But I think it's going to give some other schools a chance to land, from an athletic standpoint, to land some of the more top-tier guys, and that's a way you can get some money in a guy's hand that's in agreement with the rules, mm-hmm. and you don't have to bend any rules or do anything special for anybody. You're talking about what's that? $4,000 a year, $16,000 over the course of a career, and I think it's going to give some people an advantage. But at the end of the day, the schools that win and have the best programs are still going to get the best players. Because if you're a guy who believes he's going to play at the next level, that 16,000 doesn't mean a lot to you. What means more to you is winning a championship, playing as a freshman, getting out there, making All-American, All-Conference, and then winning a conference championship, and then you'll be a millionaire someday. So, you know, the teams that win are still going to get the best players, regardless of how much that difference is with that financial compensation.
No, Marcus, I know you are you were deep down there in Ohio. You got a lot of ties, and in the Columbus area, especially. I don't know if you got any folks over in Pinkerton, but Caris LeVert has a decision to make coming up here, and it's one where if he decides to go, he's gambling on himself because he's still in the walking boot. He hasn't been able to work out since January 17th. Coach Beilein said that he would be ready, healthy enough in time to actually work out for these teams, but that'll be after he has to declare. He has to declare by the end of this month. So I'm curious. I don't know if you're hearing anything about where he might be leaning, but even if you aren't, put yourself in his shoes. You haven't worked out. You got a lot of guys entering the draft early. What do you do? I mean, do you go or do you stay? Assuming that there are no financial considerations, that is strictly based upon where you're going to go in the draft.
Well, if we're talking strictly basketball, then I would stay. If I was Caris, I would advise him to stay if I was in his camp. But when you talk about kids that come from Pickerington, that's Southeast Columbus, there's not a lot of people hurting for money down in Pickerington. So it's not like there's an immediate, ask Jake Butt. He'll tell you. His dad will tell you too. So it's just one of those things where if there's not an immediate need for financial recovery or some type of salvage that you need in your life, then you stay in school. But from just strictly basketball, when you miss a year out of sports, all right, when you miss a year, and he didn't play very much this year. I don't know how many games, and you still have to get physical therapy and recover. There are guys that are entering that draft who did play an entire season, who played 35 games or 30 games, who are working out right now, who are ready-made and ready to go. When you compare yourself to a guy that's in that position, then that's when it should start to sink in. Like, you know what? I probably need to wait one more year. This is one of the reasons why I think every collegiate athlete should get 5 years of eligibility without a red shirt. So that way you can compete for 5 years. It gives you more time to graduate. And then if something happens, you don't feel like you're on the clock and you don't have to deal with all the medical stuff and all of that. Caris played 2 years. This is his third year. So basically he would still have 3 years left to get better and get stronger if that were my situation, if it were what I'm saying. But for him, you never want to tell somebody what they should or shouldn't do, but I'm thinking if it were me or if it was my son, we would stay in school and get better, enjoy the college life one more year. And if you're that good, see, basketball is a little different. The guys that leave early in basketball are either struggling academically, they need money, or they have peaked out from a talent standpoint, or their upside potential is worth a whole lot more than what they've shown. And so I think, like, when Hardaway left, he peaked out. Hardaway Jr., he peaked out at the college level, and things are working out so far. Well, for Caris, I don't think he's peaked out just yet. I think one more year would do him a world of justice in college and in that system. He'll get a chance to be showcased. And I think this draft is awfully flooded anyway. Mm-hmm. So I'm if I was directly involved, I would be advising him to really think about staying, getting your body right, get closer to graduation. Because I don't think he's a superstar. Like, when you leave early in college, you're a star. I mean,
it used to be that way, Mark. It used to be that way, Marcus. That was the prerequisite. That you're leaving because you're that guy. You're gonna get drafted high. But some of these guys leave, and I think they got to know that they probably. I mean, one of those Harrison twins, he has to know that he's not gonna be a first rounder. I think that's pretty clear, and yet he's leaving early.
Well, see, the Harrison twins are, I think they know that they're not as good as some of the other guys that are in the draft, but that See, that's the disadvantage of choosing Kentucky because they're bringing in guys every year that aren't going to sit down. Like a sophomore at Kentucky pretty much is like a fourth-year senior nowadays. You got to go because they got to create room and feed that monster, that beast that they created down there of one and done, of two and out. You know, so the Harrison twins know if they were to stay, then most likely they won't get any playing time. The best thing that they could have did instead of entering the draft was transfer somewhere. Transfer to a program that will allow them to, you know, play 2 more years without the pressure of having McDonald's All-Americans behind them, and then they could have developed their games. But McDonald's All-Americans playing 4 years is like unheard of. That's almost like cussing in church. But that's what I think the Harrison twins, if you're going to leave, go transfer and play somewhere else instead of just jeopardizing your entire amateur career, feeling like you need to go to the NBA.
You know, I hadn't thought about that, Marcus, but yeah, go home and play for Shaka Smart. You know, go back to
That's
Texas.
all you got to do.
Them. Yeah,
exactly right. And then the whole conversation changes if you're the Harrison twins because they're not ready and they're not upper echelon point guard, shooting guard. They can play, but they need the benefit of a 4-5 year system. And their college career will be just fine. And it's no knock on you if you stay. It's almost like nowadays those kids that are highly talented, if they stay too long in college, then people think they're a bust by the time they're a sophomore or junior. And that's not the case. So, but that's what I would recommend. That's why I need to open up the Rays of Light consulting firm and have these parents call me. I charge them $1,000 an hour and say, listen, here's the deal. Your son needs to transfer. Next, your son needs to stay in school, and I give them the reasons why. But in all seriousness, those kids shouldn't enter the draft, but they have to because they're at Kentucky and they feel like the pressure's there and they want to live that NBA dream.
I got you. Well, you know, lots of rays of light this morning, Marcus. You know, we appreciate you. I know you got a 9 o'clock appointment, so tell us real quick how people can get their hands on Rays of Light.
You can go to the MDen. You can go to mden.com. You can email me, mray29@gmail.com. You can also go to iBooks, eBooks, anywhere books are downloaded. You can also go to Amazon.com. And, you know, let's keep this Rays of Light movement going. Volume 3 will be out. Been working hard on that, man. So I've been blocking out a lot of stuff. Been in the gym, too, Sam. I've been in the gym, so I don't want nobody treating me like I done went from broke to rich once I lose all this weight, because that's how people treat you when you lose weight. They're like, oh, my gosh, look at you. But, you know, when you big, you know, don't nobody want to say too much to you. But that's where I am with that. But I'm going to keep this thing going, and I'm working diligently to get Volume 3 out, hopefully by August, September for sure. So just give me some time with that. And then, man, you know, I appreciate the platform. I apologize I couldn't get in there, because, you know, I've been doing that show live, you know, a lot more so than not. But, you know, got this appointment, and I'm going to go to that, and I'm going to talk to y'all next week.
All right. Sounds good, Marcus. Appreciate your time as always. Marcus Ray with the Rays of Light this morning, supporting Big Brothers, Big Sisters. And then, of course, draft process, stipends, becoming a part of the recruiting process more and more, certainly being mentioned more and more in the thought process. I wonder, how much of an advantage will that be for some of these schools? Time will tell. We got to get to a break. Back on the other side here on the Michigan Insider on Sports Talk 1050 WTKA. The Talk 1050 WTKA. The Talk 1050 WTKA. The Talk